The stars had never looked so threatening. Captain Ho stood on the bridge of the defense ship Dawn's Light and watched his tactical screen fill with red dots. Each dot was an enemy warship. He counted them twice because he could not believe what he was seeing. 500. 500 warships had gathered above Earth, and they were not here to talk. The Dominion had sent their entire battle fleet. Their ships were massive things, each one covered in weapons that could burn cities to ash in seconds. They hung in space like a wall of death, blocking out the stars behind them. Ho had been a soldier for 20 years. He had fought pirates and rebels and even a small war near the outer colonies, but he had never seen anything like this. "Captain," his communications officer said. Her name was Park Min and her voice was shaking. "We are receiving a message from the flagship." Ho nodded. "Put it through." The main screen flickered and then a face appeared. It was not a human face. There were tall beings with gray skin and 4 eyes. Their mouths were filled with small, sharp teeth. This one wore the golden armor of a fleet commander. His name was, and he was known across the galaxy as the Destroyer of Worlds. "Humans," said, his voice was deep and cold. "Your time has ended. The Dominion has judged your species and found you unworthy. You spread across the stars like insects. You take resources that do not belong to you. You breed without control. This ends today." Ho kept his face calm. "We have done nothing to we have never attacked your ships or your worlds. Why are you doing this?" Laughed. It was an ugly sound. "You do not need to attack us to be a threat. Your species grows too fast. In 1,000 years you will be everywhere. In 2,000 years you will challenge us. We will not allow this. We will burn your world and your colonies. We will erase every trace of humanity from the universe. You have 3 hours to say goodbye to your families." The screen went dark. Ho turned to look at his crew. They were young, most of them. Good soldiers, but scared. He could see it in their eyes. They knew the truth. Earth's defense fleet had 40 ships, 40 against 500. It was not a battle. It was an execution. "Get me Admiral," Ho said. The screen lit up again, showing an older woman with gray hair and tired eyes. Admiral was the commander of all Earth's military forces. She was sitting in her office on Earth, and Ho could see that she had been crying. But her voice was steady when she spoke. "Captain, I assume you have seen the fleet." "Yes, Admiral. I have also received their message. They are going to kill us all." Closed her eyes for a moment. "I know. I have been on calls with every government leader on Earth. They are panicking. Some want to surrender, some want to fight, some want to run. But there is nowhere to run, and they do not accept surrender. They want us dead." Ho felt his heart sink. "Is there nothing we can do? No allies we can call? No weapon we can use?" The Admiral was quiet for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was different. Lower, more careful. "There is one thing, but it is a secret that very few people know. I am going to tell you because I have no choice. If this does not work, we are all going to die anyway." "Tell me," Ho said. "On the moon there is a vault. It has been there for 10,000 years. We did not build it. We found it when we first landed on the moon back in the early days of space travel. Inside the vault there is a ship, a frigate. It is old, Captain. Older than human civilization, older than the pyramids. We have studied it for decades, but we never understood it. We never got it to work." Ho frowned. "A ship we cannot use, how does that help us?" "Because I am going to send people to try again. Real people, not scientists. Soldiers, pilots, people who know how to fight and how to fly. Maybe the ship needs the right person. Maybe it has been waiting for the right moment. I do not know, but it is our only hope." "Who are you sending?" "Look straight at the camera. Lieutenant Park. She is the best pilot in the fleet. And Engineer Dongwu. He is young, but he understands machines better than anyone I have ever met. They are already on their way to the moon." Ho nodded slowly. A pilot and an engineer. It was not much of a team for such an important mission, but he understood. There was no time to send more people. There was no time for anything. "What do you want me to do, Admiral?" "Hold the line," said. "Keep them busy. Make them think we are preparing to fight. Give and Dongwu as much time as you can. If they fail, then at least we die fighting. If they succeed," she paused. "If they succeed, then maybe we have a chance." "I understand," Ho said. "We will hold." The Admiral smiled, but it was a sad smile. "Thank you, Captain. You are a good man. I am sorry I have to ask this of you." The screen went dark again. Ho turned to face his crew. They had heard everything. They knew what was being asked of them. Hold the line against 500 warships with only 40 ships. It was suicide. But what choice did they have? "You heard the Admiral," Ho said. His voice was loud and clear. "Somewhere on the moon, 2 people are trying to save our entire species. Our job is to give them time. I will not lie to you. Many of us will die today, maybe all of us. But if that ancient ship wakes up, if it really has the power the Admiral believes it has, then our deaths will mean something. Our children will live. Our families will live. Earth will live." He looked at each of them in turn. Men at communications, young Lieutenant Ho at weapons, Navigator O, who had a wife and 2 daughters waiting for him on Earth. They were all afraid, but they were also brave. "I am proud to serve with you," Ho said. "Now let us show these what humans are made of." The bridge erupted in cheers. It was not the sound of people who thought they would win. It was the sound of people who had decided to face death with courage. Ho felt his heart swell with pride. On the tactical screen, the red dots began to move. The fleet was advancing. In 3 hours, they would be in range of Earth. In 3 hours, the bombardment would begin. Somewhere on the moon, a pilot and an engineer were racing against time. And deep beneath the lunar surface, in a vault that humans had never fully explored, something ancient began to stir. It had been sleeping for 10,000 years. It had been waiting. And now, finally, the time had come. The frigate systems flickered to life, one by one. Lights that had been dark began to glow. Engines that had been silent since before humans built their first cities hummed with power. The Wanderer was waking up. And the galaxy would never be the same. The shuttle dropped toward the moon's surface like a falling stone. Lieutenant Park gripped her seat and tried to stay calm. Behind her, Engineer Dongwu was typing frantically on his tablet, reading every piece of information he could find about the ancient vault. 2 minutes to landing, the shuttle's computer announced. Looked out the window. The moon spread out below them, gray and empty and covered in craters. Somewhere down there was a vault that had been hidden for 10,000 years. Somewhere down there was a ship that might save humanity. Or it might be nothing. Just old metal and dead machines. She tried not to think about that. "What do you know about this ship?" she asked Dongwu. The young engineer pushed his glasses up his nose. He was only 23 years old, but he was brilliant. Everyone said so. He could fix any machine, understand any system. That was why Admiral had chosen him. "Not much," Dongwu admitted. "The files are mostly classified. What I can see says the ship is about 12,000 years old. It is a frigate-class vessel about 300 meters long. The technology is completely unknown. Our scientists have been studying it since 1972, but they never got it to do anything. The power systems are dead. The computers do not respond. It just sits there like a giant piece of metal." "Then why does the Admiral think we can wake it up?" Dongwu shrugged. She did not say. Maybe she is desperate. Maybe she knows something the files do not tell us. Or maybe she is just hopping for a miracle. Nodded. A miracle. That was what they needed. 500 warships were waiting to destroy Earth. 40 human ships were preparing to die trying to stop them. And 2 people were flying to the moon to wake up a ship that had been dead for longer than human history. It was crazy, but crazy was all they had left. The shuttle landed with a hard bump. The door opened and stepped out onto the lunar surface. The gravity was weak here, only 1/6 of Earth's gravity. She bounced slightly with each step. Ahead of her, she could see the entrance to the vault. It was a massive metal door set into the side of a crater wall. Human buildings surrounded it, but they looked small and temporary next to the ancient door. A man in a military uniform was waiting for them. His name tag said Colonel Sung-ho. He looked tired and scared. "Lieutenant Park, engineer, thank God you are here." He shook their hands quickly. "Follow me, we do not have much time." They walked through the human buildings quickly. Scientists and soldiers were everywhere, running back and forth, shouting orders. Everyone knew what was happening. Everyone knew that the fleet above Earth was about to attack. The fear in the air was thick enough to taste. The ancient door was already open. Colonel led them through it and into a long tunnel that went deep into the moon. The walls were smooth metal, covered in symbols that no one had ever been able to read. Lights flickered on as they walked, turning on automatically as if the tunnel knew they were coming. The vault was discovered in 1969, Colonel explained as they walked. Found it during the first moon landing. He reported it to Houston, but the public was never told. Since then, we have been studying it in secret. Hundreds of scientists have spent their lives trying to understand this place. They failed. "Why do you think we will be different?" asked. The colonel stopped walking and turned to face her. "I do not know if you will be, but Admiral believes in you. She said you have something special, something the scientists did not have." "What is that?" "I have no idea, but right now I am willing to believe in anything." They kept walking. The tunnel went deeper and deeper. After 10 minutes, they reached another door. This one was even larger than the first. It was covered in more symbols, and in the center was a handprint, a human handprint. "That is new," Colonel said, his eyes wide. "That was not there yesterday." Dongwu stepped forward to examine it. The metal is the same as the rest of the door, but the handprint looks fresh, like it was just made. He looked at, "I think it is waiting for you." Felt her heart beating fast. This was crazy. This was impossible. But she walked forward anyway and pressed her hand against the print. For a moment nothing happened. Then the door began to glow. The symbols lit up one by one, pulsing with blue light. A deep humming sound filled the tunnel, growing louder and louder. The door slid open slowly, revealing what lay beyond. The ship was beautiful. It sat in a massive underground chamber, resting on a platform of the same strange metal. It was shaped like a blade, long and narrow and deadly looking. Its hull was dark gray, almost black, and covered in more of those mysterious symbols. Even sitting still, it looked fast. It looked powerful. It looked like something that could end wars. "The Wanderer," Dongwu whispered. "That is what the scientists called it, because they thought it wandered between stars for millions of years." Walked toward it slowly. Her feet moved on their own, carrying her across the chamber floor. She could feel something pulling her, something calling her. The ship wanted her to come closer. A ramp lowered from the ship's belly. No one had touched any controls. No one had given any commands. The ship had done it on its own. "It is inviting you in," Dongwu said. His voice was shaking with excitement. "In 50 years of study, it never did this for anyone. It wants you." She climbed the ramp and entered the ship. Inside it was dark at first. Then lights began to turn on, soft blue lights that made everything glow. The corridors were narrow but clean. There was no dust, no decay. The ship looked brand new, even though it was older than civilization. She found the bridge at the front of the ship. It was small, with only a few seats and a large window that looked out at the chamber wall. In the center of the bridge was a chair that looked different from the others. It was larger, more important. The captain's chair. Sat down in it. The moment she did, everything changed. Screens lit up all around her. The symbols on the walls began to move, swirling and dancing like living things. A voice spoke in her head, not in her ears, in her head. "Commander found. Identity confirmed. Human female. Genetic markers acceptable. Beginning full system activation." "What is happening?" gasped. "You have been chosen," the voice said. "This vessel has waited 10,000 years for a commander. You are that commander. Your species did not build this ship. Your ancestors inherited it from the ones who came before. The builders, they are gone now, but their creations remain. This ship is yours now. Use it well." Outside the ship, Dongwu watched in amazement as the Wanderer came to life. Lights blazed along its hull. Engines that had been dead roared with power. The ship lifted off the platform, hovering in the air like it weighed nothing at all. Colonel fell to his knees. "It is a miracle," he whispered, "a real miracle." On the bridge, gripped the arms of her chair and tried to understand what was happening. She could feel the ship now. It was like it was part of her. She could feel its engines, its weapons, its shields. She could feel power unlike anything she had ever imagined. "Ship," she said out loud, "what are you? What can you do?" "I am the Wanderer. I am a Guardian-class frigate designed to protect young species from those who would destroy them. I carry weapons that can break fleets. I carry shields that can stop stars. I have slept for 10,000 years, waiting for humanity to need me. That time has come." Thought about the 500 warships waiting above Earth. She thought about Captain Ho and his 40 ships, preparing to die. She thought about her family on Earth, about all the billions of people who did not know how close they were to death. "Can you stop them?" she asked. "Can you stop them?" The ship's answer was simple. "Yes." Above Earth, Captain Ho looked at his tactical screen and frowned. A new signal had appeared. A single ship was rising from the moon, moving faster than anything he had ever seen. "Sir," Min said, her voice filled with wonder, "you need to see this." On the main screen, the Wanderer emerged from the moon's shadow. It was small compared to the warships, just a frigate, but something about it made Ho's hair stand on end. The ancient ship had awakened, and it was coming to fight. The flagship was called the Eternal Dominion. It was the largest warship in the galaxy, 3 kilometers long and bristling with weapons. Commander stood on its bridge and watched his fleet prepare for the attack on Earth. Everything was going according to plan. In 2 hours, the bombardment would begin. In 6 hours, every human city would be burning. By tomorrow, the human species would be nothing more than a memory. Smiled with his sharp teeth. He had destroyed 12 species in his career. Humans would be number 13. They were weak, these humans. Their ships were slow and poorly armed. Their technology was primitive. They had no allies, no ancient weapons, no powerful patrons. They were alone in the universe, and they were about to die. "Commander," one of his officers called out, "we are detecting a new contact, a single ship rising from the planet's moon." Waved his hand dismissively. "Probably a civilian transport trying to escape. Let them go. There is nowhere they can run where we will not find them." "Sir, the ship is not running. It is coming toward us, fast." That made turn around. He walked to the tactical display and looked at the new contact. It was a small ship, only about 300 meters long. A frigate, nothing special. And yet something about its energy signature made him uneasy. "Show me this ship," he ordered. The main screen changed to show a visual of the approaching vessel. Felt his 4 eyes go wide. His hearts, all 3 of them, stopped beating for a moment. "No," he whispered, "that is impossible." The ship on the screen was ancient. Its design was familiar to every child. It was in their history books, their legends, their nightmares. A Guardian-class frigate, a ship built by the Builders, the ancient race that had ruled the galaxy millions of years ago. The Builders were gone now, destroyed in a war that had nearly ended all life in the universe. But their ships remained, scattered across the stars, sleeping, waiting. "Commander," his officer asked nervously, "what is wrong? It is just a frigate." Grabbed the officer by his uniform and pulled him close. "That is not just a frigate, you fool. That is a Guardian ship. Do you know what that means? Do you know what our ancestors did to earn the anger of the Builders?" The officer shook his head, confused. "They were slaves once," said his voice shaking. We served the builders for 1,000,000 years, we cleaned their ships, we fought their wars, we did whatever they commanded, and when they fell, when they were destroyed by their enemies, we celebrated, we danced in the streets, we swore we would never serve anyone again. He let go of the officer and stepped back. But the builders left guardians behind, ships designed to protect the species they favored. If that ship is here protecting the humans. He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. All ships shouted into his communicator. Battle alert, form defensive positions. We have a guardian contact. Across the fleet, panic spread like fire. Ships that had been preparing to attack Earth suddenly turned to face the approaching frigate. Weapons powered up. Shields activated. 500 warships, the most powerful fleet in the galaxy, prepared to fight a single small ship. On the Wanderer watched the fleet reorganize. She could see their fear. She could feel it through the ship's sensors like a taste in the air. "They know what you are," she said to the ship. "Yes," the Wanderer replied in her mind. "The remember, their ancestors served my creators. They know what I can do." Will that stop them? Will they leave? Unknown. They are proud. Their commander may choose to fight rather than retreat in shame. That would be unwise, but pride often leads to unwise choices. Dongwu's voice came through the communication system. He had stayed on the moon, watching everything on the sensors. "I am reading massive energy buildups in the ships. They are charging their weapons. I think they are going to attack." Took a deep breath. This was it. This was the moment that would decide everything. If they attacked and won, humanity would die. If they lost, humanity would live. Everything depended on what happened in the next few minutes. "Ship," she said, "what are our options?" "Multiple options available. I can attempt communication first. If that fails, I can engage with minimal force to demonstrate capability. If that fails, I can engage with maximum force to destroy the threat. Let us try talking first." A channel opened. Found herself looking at Commander on her screen. The alien looked terrified, but he was trying to hide it behind anger. "Human," growled. "How did you get that ship? It does not belong to you. It belongs to the builders, and they are dead." "The builders gave this ship to my ancestors," said calmly. 10,000 years ago. They trusted us to guard it. They trusted us to use it wisely. I am doing that now." "You lie. Humans are nothing. You are insects. The builders would never choose you." "And yet here I am, in this ship, with its power at my command." Leaned forward. "Commander, I am giving you one chance. Take your fleet and leave. Never return to human space. If you do this, I will let you go. If you do not." She let the threat hang in the air. Laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. "You think one ship can stop 500, even a guardian ship. You are brave, human, but you are also foolish. My fleet will destroy you, and then we will destroy your pathetic planet." "I do not want to fight you," said, "but I will if I have to." "Then you will die." The channel closed. On the dawn's light, Captain Ho watched the exchange with amazement. He had never seen a look scared before. Whatever that ancient ship was, it had them worried. "All ships," he said to his fleet, "hold position. Do not engage unless engaged. Let us see what that frigate can do." The fleet moved first. 200 ships accelerated toward the Wanderer, firing as they came. The space around the ancient frigate filled with energy beams and missiles and plasma bolts. It was enough firepower to destroy a moon. It was enough firepower to crack a planet. It was not enough. The Wanderer's shields absorbed everything. The ship did not even shake. On the bridge, watched the attack splash harmlessly against the golden energy field that surrounded her ship. "Damage report," she said. "No damage. Shield integrity at 100%. Enemy weapons are insufficient to penetrate our defenses." Felt a surge of hope. The ship was as powerful as it had promised, but she still did not want to kill if she did not have to. "Can we disable them, without destroying them?" "Yes, I can target their engine systems and weapons arrays. This will render them helpless without causing loss of life. Do it. The Wanderer moved. To the humans and watching, it was like nothing they had ever seen. The frigate accelerated faster than any ship should be able to move. It danced between the enemy vessels like a leaf in the wind, and as it flew, it fired. The Wanderer's weapons were not like normal ship weapons. They did not fire beams or missiles. They fired something else. Pulses of golden light that passed through shields like they were not there. Each pulse hit exactly where it needed to hit. Engine cores overloaded. Weapon systems exploded. Ship after ship went dark, drifting helplessly in space. In less than 3 minutes, 100 warships were disabled. Not destroyed, just stopped. Their crews were alive, but their ships could not move or fight. On the Eternal Dominion, Commander watched his fleet fall apart. His hands were shaking. His hearts were pounding. This could not be happening. This was impossible. Fall back, he screamed into his communicator. All ships fall back, regroup at the edge of the system. But it was too late for some of them. The Wanderer was already among his ships, dancing and firing, turning his mighty fleet into a field of helpless wrecks. On the bridge of her ancient ship felt no joy. She felt only sadness. She had not wanted this. She had not wanted to fight, but she would do whatever it took to protect her people. Commander, she broadcast to the fleet, I have disabled 100 of your ships. I have not killed anyone, not yet. But if you do not retreat, I will stop being gentle. Leave now. This is your last warning. The galaxy was watching. Thousands of sensors from hundreds of species were pointed at this battle. They all saw the same thing. A single frigate destroying a fleet. A ship from legend, awake and angry. On the Eternal Dominion stared at the screen. His pride told him to fight. His fear told him to run. His duty told him to protect his people. For the first time in his life, he did not know what to do. And on the Wanderer waited for his answer. Commander stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dominion and felt something he had never felt before, defeat. It was a cold feeling like ice in his blood. He had led fleets across the galaxy. He had conquered worlds and destroyed species. He had never lost a single battle, until today. 100 of his ships were drifting helplessly in space. Their engines were dead. Their weapons were gone. The crews were alive, but they could do nothing except watch. And the ancient frigate was still out there, waiting, its golden shields glowing like a small sun. Commander, his second officer said quietly, "What are your orders?" Did not answer right away. He was thinking about his options. He could continue the attack. He still had 400 ships. Perhaps if they all attacked at once, they could overwhelm the Guardian vessel. Perhaps its shields would fail. Perhaps they could win. But he knew it was a lie. He had seen what that ship could do. It was fast, so fast that his targeting systems could not track it. Its weapons passed through shields like they did not exist. And the human pilot had been merciful. She had disabled his ships without killing the crews. That meant she was holding back. That meant she could do worse. Much worse. "Sir," another officer called out, "we are receiving transmissions from across the fleet. The captains want to know what is happening. They are scared, Commander." Of course they were scared. Was scared too. Every child grew up hearing stories about the builders and their guardian ships. They were the monsters under the bed, the demons in the dark. For 1,000,000 years, they had served the builders as slaves. They had been told that the guardian ships were unstoppable, that nothing could stand against them. Those stories had been passed down through hundreds of generations. Now those stories were coming true. On the Wanderer watched the fleet hold position. They were not attacking anymore. They were not retreating either. They were just waiting. She could feel their fear through the ship's sensors like a wave of cold air. "Ship," she said, "what are they doing?" "The enemy commander is deciding," the Wanderer replied. "His pride tells him to fight. His fear tells him to run. He does not know which voice to follow. If he attacks again, then I will stop holding back." Shook her head. I do not want to kill them. Is there another way? There is always another way, but some enemies cannot be convinced with words. Some enemies only understand power. You must show them that fighting is hopeless. Only then will they accept defeat. In the communication system, Dongwu's voice came through again. I am watching the fleet. Their flagship is powering up its main weapon. It is some kind of massive energy cannon. If they fire that thing at Earth. His blood went cold. How powerful is it? Powerful enough to crack the planet's crust. One shot would kill billions. She looked at the tactical display. The Eternal Dominion was at the center of the formation. It was huge, 3 times larger than any other ship in the fleet, and now its main weapon was glowing with deadly energy. He is going to try to shoot past me, realized. He is going to attack Earth directly. Correct, the Wanderer confirmed. The enemy commander has chosen to sacrifice his honor to complete his mission. He knows he cannot defeat us, but if he can destroy the planet we are protecting, he wins anyway. Can you stop the shot? Yes, but it will require me to use my primary weapon. That weapon does not disable, it destroys. Closed her eyes. She had tried so hard to avoid killing anyone. She had hoped that showing mercy would convince them to retreat, but mercy only works on enemies who are willing to accept it. Was not that kind of enemy. Do what you have to do, she said quietly. The Wanderer moved. On the Eternal Dominion, watched his weapon reach full charge. The energy cannon was the most powerful weapon in the fleet. It had destroyed planets before. It would destroy Earth now. Even if the Guardian ship killed him afterward, he would have completed his mission. He would die with honor. Fire, he commanded. The cannon released its energy in a blinding beam of white light. It streaked through space toward the distant blue planet. It was beautiful in a terrible way. The death of a world contained in a single shot. The beam never reached Earth. The Wanderer appeared in front of it, moving so fast that its eyes could barely follow. The ancient frigate did not try to block the beam with its shields. Instead, it fired its own weapon. A single pulse of golden light, so bright that every sensor in the fleet went blind. When the light faded, the beam was gone, and so were 50 warships. They had not been disabled this time. They had been destroyed, completely. There was nothing left. Not debris, not bodies, not even atoms. 50 ships and 50,000 soldiers had simply ceased to exist. The galaxy went silent. Every species watching the battle stopped breathing. They had seen weapons destroy ships before, but they had never seen anything like this. This was not destruction. This was erasure. On the Wanderer felt tears running down her face. 50,000 lives, gone in an instant because of her, because she had given the order. I am sorry, the ship said in her mind. I know this is painful, but you saved billions. The equation is cruel, but it is fair. It does not feel fair, whispered. It never does. That is what makes you worthy of commanding me. A being who enjoys killing is not fit to wield this power. Only those who hate it can be trusted with it. On the Eternal Dominion, Commander fell to his knees. His weapon had failed. 50 of his ships were gone. The human pilot had stopped holding back, and this was the result. If she fired again, if she chose to destroy the rest of his fleet, there was nothing he could do to stop her. Commander, his second officer said, his voice shaking, the human is broadcasting again. Forced himself to stand. He had to face this. He owed that much to the crews he had led to their deaths. Appeared on his screen. Her face was wet with tears, but her voice was steady. I warned you, she said. I told you to leave. I did not want to do this, but you gave me no choice. She paused, taking a shaky breath. Commander, I am going to give you one more chance. Not because you deserve it, because I do not want to kill anyone else today. Take your fleet and go. Now. If a single ship enters human space ever again, I will destroy it without warning. Am I clear? Looked at her. He looked at the empty space where 50 of his ships had been. He thought about his pride, his honor, his duty to the Dominion. Then he thought about his crew, the 30,000 still alive on the Eternal Dominion, the hundreds of thousands on the remaining ships. They were counting on him to make the right decision. "We will go," he said. The words tasted like poison in his mouth. "But this is not over, human. The Dominion has a long memory. One day that ship will fail you, and on that day we will return." Shook her head slowly. "If you come back, Commander, I will be waiting, and next time I will not give warnings." The channel closed. On the dawn's light, Captain Ho watched the fleet begin to retreat. 400 warships, turning away from Earth, accelerating toward the edge of the system. They moved quickly, like animals running from a predator. "They are leaving," Min said, her voice filled with disbelief. "They are actually leaving." Ho nodded slowly. His hands were shaking. His whole body was shaking. They had been minutes away from death, minutes away from the destruction of everything they loved, and now the enemy was running. "Lieutenant Park," he said into his communicator, "I do not know who you are or where that ship came from, but you just saved every human being alive. Thank you." His voice came back, tired and sad. "Do not thank me, Captain. I killed 50,000 people today. That is not something to celebrate. You saved 8 billion. The math is on your side." "Math does not make it easier." Ho understood. He had lost soldiers before. He knew that feeling. The guilt that never quite goes away, no matter how necessary the killing was. "Come home, Lieutenant," he said gently. "You have earned some rest." On Earth, billions of people looked up at the sky. They did not know exactly what had happened. They only knew that they had been about to die and now they were not. Some cried, some cheered, some fell to their knees and prayed. And in her ancient ship, flew toward the planet she had just saved, carrying the weight of 50,000 souls on her shoulders. The war was over, but the consequences were just beginning. 3 days had passed since the fleet retreated. Earth was still standing. 8 billion people were still alive, but nothing would ever be the same. Sat in a small office on Luna Base, staring out the window at the stars. The Wanderer was parked outside, its dark hull visible against the gray lunar surface. The ship was quiet now, resting after the battle, but could still feel its presence in the back of her mind, like a whisper that never quite stopped. The door opened and Admiral walked in. The older woman looked tired but happy. She had not slept in days, dealing with the aftermath of the battle. Every government on Earth wanted answers. Every news channel was asking about the mysterious ship that had saved them. Every scientist wanted to study it. "How are you feeling?" asked, sitting down across from. "Tired," admitted, "and confused and sad." "That is normal. You did something incredible and it cost you something. That is how these things work." Shook her head. "I killed 50,000 people, Admiral. I keep seeing their faces in my dreams. I know they were the enemy. I know they were going to kill us, but it still hurts." Reached across the table and took's hand. "That hurt is what makes you human. If you felt nothing, I would be worried. The fact that you care about the lives you took means you are still the person I hoped you would be." They sat in silence for a moment. Outside the window, the stars twinkled peacefully, unaware of the drama that had played out among them. "Admiral," said finally, "the ship told me something. It said that humans did not build it. It said our ancestors inherited it from the builders. What does that mean? Who were the builders? Why did they give us this power?" Sighed. "That is a question we have been asking for 50 years. When we first found the vault, we did not understand anything. We just knew it was old, older than anything we had ever seen. We thought it was alien technology, left behind by some long-dead species. We never imagined it was meant for us. But it was. The ship chose me. It called me commander. It said my genetic markers were acceptable." "Yes, and that raises some interesting questions about human history," leaned back in her chair. "There are theories, old theories that most scientists laugh at. Some people believe that humans did not evolve naturally on Earth. They believe we were seeded there by an older species, placed on a young planet and left to grow. Felt a chill run down her spine. The builders. Maybe, we do not know for certain, but if the builders put our ancestors on Earth, and if they left that ship for us to find, then they must have had a reason. They must have seen something in humanity that made us worth protecting. What could they have seen? We are not special, we fight wars, we destroy our own planet, we are cruel to each other. Smiled sadly. Yes, we are all of those things, but we are also kind. We build hospitals and schools, we create art and music, we love our children and care for our elderly. We are flawed, but we are trying. Maybe that is what the builders saw. Maybe they believed that given enough time, we would become something better. On the other side of the base, Dongwu was working in his laboratory. The young engineer had not slept since the battle. He was too excited. The Wanderer had opened its databanks to him, and what he found inside was incredible. Star charts showing thousands of worlds, many of them with life. Technical documents describing technologies that humans had never imagined. History files that went back millions of years, telling the story of the builders and their great civilization. And something else, something that made his hands tremble when he found it. "Admiral," he said into his communicator, "you need to come see this, now." 20 minutes later, and a dozen senior officers were crowded into Dongwu's laboratory. The young engineer had put something on the main screen. It was a star map, showing a region of space far from Earth. "This is the builder," Dongwu explained, "or what is left of it. According to the Wanderer's files, the builders did not go extinct. They retreated. They went into hiding when their enemies became too powerful, and they left behind ships like the Wanderer to protect the species they had seeded across the galaxy." "What are you saying?" asked. "I am saying that we are not alone. The builders are still out there somewhere, and according to this map there are other Guardian ships scattered across known space, 12 of them, each one protecting a different species." The room went silent. The implications were enormous. If what Dongwu was saying was true, then humanity was part of something much larger. A family of species, all protected by ancient machines, all waiting for something. "Waiting for what?" asked. Dongwu changed the display. Now it showed a message, written in symbols that the Wanderer had translated into human language. "When the Guardians unite, the path will open. When the children return, the builders will wake." "It is a prophecy," Dongwu said, his voice filled with wonder, "or maybe a promise. The builders left these ships for a reason. They want us to find each other. They want us to bring the Guardians together, and when we do, they will come back finished." Outside the window, the Wanderer sat silently on the lunar surface, but in his mind she could feel the ship stirring. It was pleased. She had found the first piece of the puzzle. The journey was just beginning. 1 week later, stood before the United Nations General Assembly. Every government on Earth had sent representatives. Billions of people watched the broadcast from their homes, their phones, their screens. Everyone wanted to know what would happen next. 3 weeks ago, we were almost destroyed," said, her voice carrying across the Great Hall. "A fleet of 500 warships came to erase humanity from existence. They failed, but they will not be the last. The galaxy is dangerous, and there are other species who see us as a threat." She paused, looking out at the sea of faces. "But we are not helpless anymore. The Wanderer has shown us that we have friends out there, ancient friends who believed in us enough to leave behind a gift, a ship of incredible power, waiting for the day we would need it." On the screens behind her, images appeared, the star map, the other Guardian ships, the builder. "We are not alone in the universe. There are other species like us, protected by ships like the Wanderer, and there are beings out there who want to help us, who have been waiting for millions of years for us to grow up and join them. That is our future. Not war, not fear, but connection, community, family." The assembly erupted in applause. Felt tears in her eyes again, but this time they were tears of hope. Later that night, she walked back to the Wanderer. Dongwu was waiting for her at the base of the ramp, smiling his shy smile. "That was a good speech," he said. "I meant every word of it." "I know you did." He looked up at the ancient ship. "Are you ready for what comes next? Finding the other Guardians will not be easy. It could take years, decades." Smiled, "I know, but that is okay. The builders waited millions of years for us. We can wait a few decades to find them." She climbed the ramp and entered her ship. Dongwu followed. The Wanderer hummed with welcoming energy, its systems lighting up as she approached the bridge. "Where do we start?" asked the ship. "There is a Guardian signal coming from a system called 442. It has been dormant for 6,000 years, but it is beginning to wake up. Then that is where we go." She sat down in the captain's chair. Dongwu took the seat beside her. Outside, the stars waited, full of secrets and wonders and dangers. Humanity's journey among the stars had truly begun. The Wanderer rose from the lunar surface, its engines glowing with ancient fire. It climbed through the darkness, past the Earth, past the moon, toward the distant stars. And in the ship's memory banks, a simple message played on repeat. A message left by the builders 10,000 years ago. A message meant for their children. "Welcome to the family. We are proud of you." Smiled as she heard it in her mind. They had a long way to go. But for the first time in human history, they were not going alone. The adventure was just beginning.